are. Here we are in Photoshop. First thing we're going to do, we're going to say File and New. By default in Photoshop, it gives your file name something like the word Untitled. And under here, under paper size, we're going to use US paper. That's the type of paper that we have in our printers here, which is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. And then we're going to say OK. So there are lots of cool things that we can do with Photoshop. What we're not going to do today, we're not going to go into Photoshop or onto the internet and find an image and put it here. We're going to just create using the tools that are in Photoshop. So one of the things you might want to do is you might want to have the word sharing the planet. To put words in Photoshop, there's a little T at the bottom left. That's our text or typing tool. If I click on that, up here, the first thing I can do is I can change the font. You can actually see the example of what your font looks like at the side there. So you might say, aha, I like that, phosphate. And then you might say, I want it to be large. You can always change this afterwards, but let me show you. Let's start by choosing something large, and maybe then I click, and I could write, sharing the planet. Okay, uh-oh. What does that mean?
You need to make it smaller.
So I might need to make it smaller. That's one good suggestion.
You can move it.
Yep, I can make it smaller like this. Or I can even go in this box and type a number. So maybe I'll do 55. And then I can move it. So to move it, we have to use this arrow here. And it's really important in Photoshop that you get used to that sort of thing. So if I want to move something, I have to use the move tool, which is this here. I click it, and now I can move it anywhere I want. The other thing I want to show you, way over here, these are your layers. So sharing the planet is a layer. Every layer, you can apply special effects to those layers. And they're very cool. So let me show you how to do that. You'll notice I didn't pick a color. I just left it black and white, and here's why. You don't need to pick a color. You can do it with a layer style afterwards, and you can get way cooler things than just picking a color. So check this out. I make sure that I'm clicking on my text layer here, and I go up to Layer and Layer Style. And there are all sorts of things I can do down here. I'm going to start by changing its color. So I'm going to go here to Color Overlay. When I click that, it brings up this box. And this box has tons of options. See, Color Overlay, that's the one I chose. And look, the color's red, and my text has changed to red as well. If I want to change that color, I can click here where it was red, and I can drag this down over here. If I know I want something that's greenish, I could go into the green area, and then in there I can select a dark green or a light green or whatever I want, and I can say OK. And look, now it's dark green. But I can do lots more than just change the color. Check this out. If I wanted to, I could add an outline. The word stroke here means outline. So if I check the word stroke, right now it's outlining it in black. There's the color. Again, I could change that if I wanted to. I could go back into my greens and pick a really dark green. And then I could change the size of the brush stroke on the outside of my shape just by dragging this up. Is that cool? Maybe, oh, did you see I pushed OK? And you might think, oh no, it's done now. I can always go back and change it. See how my layer now says sharing the planet, and here it says effects, and I can see the two effects I applied. I applied a color overlay and a stroke. I just double click the word effects. That box comes right back up. Check it out. There it is. And I might say, you know what? I like the outline, but I'd like the green to be lighter. So I go back to my color overlay. I can go back in here, and I might pick a lighter shade of green, one with more white in it. Aha, I like that better. Now I could get even fancier. I might say, hey, I want to drop a shadow. Check out this. So if I check drop shadow and increase the distance here, watch what starts to happen. And I can increase the size here. I'm going to get a shadow, which you might not be able to see from there. So let me zoom in. I'm going to say OK.
Oh, I can see it.
Let me zoom in. I'm going to go down here. This is my zoom, or I can use my magnifying glass and I could, woo. So do you see the shadow there?
Yeah.
Watch this. I'm going to turn it off and on again. See down here, I've got stroke, color overlay, drop shadow. Watch this. Turn it off. Turn it on. Okay, kind of neat, eh? Kind of makes it look like it pops off the page a bit. Here's the last cool thing I want to show you. I'm going to go back into effects by double clicking here. I'm going to turn off the color overlay for a sec because I want to show you something even cooler. I'm going to use a gradient overlay. Does anyone know what the word gradient means? Has anyone heard that word? If we, yeah, what do you think it means? No? Guess. It doesn't matter if you're wrong.
Does it mean like weird, very unusual colors?
That is a good guess. Have you guys ever gone up a hill or down a hill?
Yeah.
And sometimes you call that a gradient because it goes up or down. Gradually. Yes. Clever Emma. So we're going to gradually change the color from one color to the next. When I check it, by default, it goes from black to white or white to black. I can double click here and I can change those two colors. So instead of going black to white, white to black, I could double click this black color and I could say, let's go from light green to white. And I say, okay, doesn't that look sharp? Doesn't it look like you could be designing a movie poster for a real movie?
Oh yeah.
Guess why? Because they use Photoshop to design movie posters for real movies. That's why. Okay? Isn't that cool? So there's sharing the planet. Let me show you something else. So I just showed you texts, how to add text, how to change the font, how to change the font size, and how to move it with this arrow. And then I showed you how to change the layer style. There are other layer styles in there. You can play with them and see what they do. The nice thing about graphic design, there's no right or wrong answer. You could turn things on, turn them off again if you don't like them. Okay? Here's what I'm going to show you now. Shapes. This part is a little trickier, and I'm going to show you how to get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different shapes. Right now, if I go down all the way near the bottom, do you see this square here? Or rectangle probably? If I click that and hold it, here are my choices. I have a rectangle tool. I have a rounded rectangle tool, which is like a rectangle but with curvy corners. I have an ellipse tool. I have a polygon tool, a line tool, and here's my favorite, the custom shape tool. If I click on the custom shape tool, right now it's set to give me an arrow. Look, whoop, there's an arrow. I'm going to undo. Remember, edit, undo? Undo is your best friend. You make errors, okay? In every program we use. Here are the custom shapes it has so far. So we've got lots of different sorts of arrows. Lightning bolts, okay? We've got speech bubbles, a fleur-de-lis, a heart, a blob, a male, musical note. We got a paw. We got some sort of explosion, a check mark, scissors. There are so many more we can get. Check this out. If I push this gearbox, I can say all. I think this is going to work. Hold your breath.
But don't damage me.
Replace current shapes with the shapes from all. Let's say append. That means stick it on the end. Woohoo! Now I got cats and dogs and fish. I got all sorts of crazy shapes. Even more lightning bolts. I got fires. Do we have the earth? That is a question. I'm not sure. I am not sure.
Yeah, just make a ball and then a blob in the middle or something.
Yeah. But we got all these choices. So let's say I'm not going to do a sharing the planet about energy because I don't want to give you any hints. I'm going to do sharing the planet about communication just for fun so that it's different than yours. I'm going to grab this telephone. I'm going to put a telephone here. Okay? A telephone? Mr. Perot, were you born in the 1980s? Telephone for communication? Come on, Mr. Perot. Okay.
Can you change the color?
So I'm going to move that there. Can I change the color?
Make it purple. Yes.
Does anyone remember? Can you tell me if I wanted to change the layer style of my telephone? Layer, yeah.
Layer style. Color.
Let's try a new one. What? Inner glow. Let's go for inner glow. Okay. Now,
Make it purple.
so far you can't see much. However, if I change the size of my inner glow, can you see what it's doing?
Make it purple. Yeah, make it purple.
I could change the color to purple. But check out this. I'm gonna. Where's purple? Here.
Make the overlay brighter.
Okay. Check out this. Bevel emboss. Check this out. This is neat. Let's find out. Does anyone know what the word bevel or emboss mean?
Bevel. Bevel means bevel.
Yeah. make it pop out, bumpy. You might emboss words into paper with a special stamp that makes it pop out. Okay, check it out. Watch. Pop. Okay? It's similar to, but different from the shadow. And here, let me show you how. So if I click here on bevel emboss, I can change the size. And look what happens. Instead of making a shadow bigger, it almost makes it look rounder, doesn't it? And I can soften the bevel here. I can change the depth of the bevel. Okay? And now when I push OK, watch my layer on the side. Here it is. And now I can see I have two layers. The first one, sharing the planet. The second one is the shape layer, where I can see the effects I've applied here are bevel emboss, inner glow, outer, and I can turn these off. Check it out. Watch, right from here. I can say, I don't want to see the color overlay. I can say, over here, I don't want to see the stroke. Okay? You guys can decide. I can combine these shapes together too. I can add, let's say I want to find another one. Remember, I'm doing sharing the planet about communication. You're doing it about energy, right. Okay, so I click here again on my blobby shape. I go up here, and here I'm going to say, maybe I want to find something that looks like
Speech bubble.
maybe a computer.
There's a phone down there.
There was a person, yeah.
Do the person.
Person might be good. Okay,
The light bulb. Right here. Person.
a person. Okay, so I click on my person. Now, sometimes the following thing happens. And we're going to find out what happens right now. I don't know. Sometimes it adds the two shapes together. And sometimes that's not what you want. Most of the time for me, that's not what I want. Let's see what happens. Okay? I'll be able to tell right away if my guy comes out purple. Good, it didn't do it. So it made them two separate layers. That means I can still independently move the person from the telephone. Okay? So I click the layer, and I click, okay? Sometimes the two shapes get stuck together. Okay? But again, I can add effects to this. But here's something else I want you to see. I can go up here. So if I click on my stick figure layer, and I go up here to edit, I can say edit, transform, and I can do a number of things. Scale means bigger or smaller. Rotate means rotate, like turn it around. Skew, you should try all these just for fun. But I can also go, I like this one, free transform. So if I push and pull these, I can make him bigger or smaller. I can make him wider or taller. Or maybe I don't want to do that. If I hold shift while I do it, the aspect won't change. That means he stays the same height and width comparatively. Comparatively. Oui. I can do this. Check it out. Maybe I want him to face the other way. Face the other way, dude. Maybe I want to rotate him. Make him look like he's lying down. Oh my gosh. That man was squashed by a giant telephone. So sad. When I'm done, I push the check mark. Okay? So here are the things I've showed you. I showed you how to add text, how to change the layer style of that layer. I showed you how to add shapes and change the layer style there. And I also showed you how to do transforming. So edit, here's one more thing, transform. Here's what skew does. Check it out. So I could choose skew, and now it does this kind of thing. Okay? I can do edit, transform, and I can go distort, and now it does this kind of thing.
Keep it like that.
Okay? I can do edit, transform, and perspective, and now it does this kind of thing. And lastly, I can go edit, transform, and warp. This one's kind of funny. Watch. So I could push this in here and grab the handle and stretch it up. Push this one in here. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay? Another way, last thing, super important, undoing in Photoshop. I can only edit undo once. Okay? I know it says undo. What it does is it just keeps swapping back between the last two things you did. However, Photoshop has this thing called history right over here. If you can't see it, you could always go window, history, and it shows it to you. And if I make this bigger, I can undo as much as I want. Here, look, undo, 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 undo. See? It just remembers all the things I did, and I can click through it. Does that make sense? So your job today in your pair or pod is to create a Sharing the Planet exhibition logo for energy. So I need each